For a week, Pip the Gopher couldn't sleep. He was a detective, haunted by a single, maddening clue. The rebalancing of his portfolio had been a success, but the numbers didn't add up. A few acorns were missing. He checked his records 100 times under candlelight, using a magnifying glass. There was no sign of Sly the Fox, no obvious theft. It wasn't a robbery, it was a leak. A slow, invisible leak from his financial boat, and he was determined to find it. He went to the wise badger, not with a question, but with an accusation. "The system is rigged," Pip declared, pointing at his transaction records. "Someone is taking my acorns, but they're so quiet, so sneaky, I can't see them. Who is it?" The wise badger looked at Pip's evidence and nodded gravely. "You have found them, Pip, the true enemies of every investor. They are not a single thief. They are the forest leeches." "Leeches?" Pip shuddered. "Exactly," the badger said. "Tiny, silent creatures that you barely notice. They attach themselves to your wealth and feed on it, drip by drip. There are 3 main types." He picked up a stick and drew in the dirt. "First, there is the toll booth troll. Every time you cross the bridge to buy or sell an asset, he demands 1 acorn, a simple one-time fee. This is a broker's commission." "Next," the badger continued, "there is the shifty merchant. He has a rock, and he says, 'I will buy this rock from you for 9 acorns, or I will sell it to you for 10 acorns. The 1 acorn difference between his buying and selling price is his profit. This is called the spread.' But the most dangerous of all," the badger said, his voice low, "is the tiny leech that attaches itself directly to your Great Forest Basket ETF. It is so small you don't even feel it. It promises to manage the basket for you, and in return, it drinks just 1% of your acorns every year. This is the management fee, or expense ratio." Pip looked relieved. "Oh, is that all? A troll, a tricky merchant, and a tiny 1% leech? They only took a few acorns. I can live with that." The badger's expression turned serious. "Can you, Pip? Let me show you what that tiny leech really costs you." He led Pip to 2 identical small oak saplings. "Imagine these are 2 identical portfolios. We will let them grow for 30 years. This one," he said, pointing to the first, "will grow untouched. But on this one," he said, pointing to the second, "we will place 1 tiny 1% leech." Years flew by in a magical montage. For the first 5, 10, even 15 years, the 2 oak trees looked nearly identical. The leech was so small, its effect was invisible. But then, a gap began to appear. After 30 years, the difference was staggering. The first tree was a magnificent towering oak, heavy with thousands of acorns. The second tree was also large, but it was noticeably smaller, weaker, thinner. Pip stared in horror. The tiny leech, it did all that? The wise badger nodded. "It didn't just drink 1% of your acorns each year, Pip. It drank all the future acorns those acorns would have grown. Over 30 years, that 1 tiny leech didn't just take a bite. It consumed nearly 1/3 of your entire future forest." Pip was speechless. He finally understood. The real enemy wasn't a dramatic crash or a cunning fox. It was the slow, silent, invisible drain of fees. He looked at his own portfolio, now seeing the tiny leeches he'd never knew existed. He had one final, urgent question. "My portfolio grew by 8% last year after all the fees. Is that good? How do I even know if I'm winning?"